My name's Tim, I'm an alcoholic. Thank you for having me here. It's nice to be... I go to meetings in East London where everyone is around 12. And so it's just so nice to be in a room with people my own age who use the same words as me some of the time. It's such a relief. So I'm looking forward to the sharing back. So I'm an alcoholic. I haven't had a drink today. I haven't had a drink for 31 years. AA definitely works. I got to AA relatively young. Alcohol pickles some people and sobriety seems to pickle others. I think sobriety has pickled me. That notion of a higher power, I was in a discussion the other day, people were talking about the difficulty of sharing about a higher power in AA because, well, some people don't like the idea, and someone said that they'd shared about God at a meeting, and someone said, well, I don't need a higher power. Well, it's very good, fair enough. But I'm not diabetic. My best friend was diabetic, and it would be like someone saying to him, well, I don't need insulin. Why do you need insulin? Well, because he's diabetic, that's why. If you've got your own source of power and you can stay away from alcohol on your own, kushti, good luck to you. I have no beef with people that don't need God. Good for you. Lucky you. I did, and the reason I concluded I needed God was because I kept getting into terrific trouble with alcohol. I remember the last time I drank, I was arrested. It was 12 o'clock in the afternoon in Ladbroke Grove. I was drunk and disorderly. It hadn't taken long from the first drink to get to that point. I'd been going to AA for 6 months at that point. And I remember sitting in a car with an AA member later on that day saying, I don't know what happened, I was doing so well. And he said, yeah, you were doing very well except with the not drinking bit of the programme. I was going to so many meetings. I was talking to so many people. I was on the phone. I had my little this book. I had my little that book. I'd read my little books on the train, going to 3 meetings a day. And I knew I had no other option. I didn't have one foot out. I had both feet in. But I was trying to rely on meetings and the people in meetings to keep me sober. And it would work some of the time. And when it worked, it was great. But then there were other times it wouldn't. The thoughts would arise, they would overpower me, and I had nothing. All of the little tips and tricks that people very kindly gave me, sometimes they work. And when they work, they're very good. Call someone. Tell them what's going on. You do it and it works, and you think, good, well, I can put that in my bag and pull it out next time I've got a problem and feel like drinking. And the next time I would try that and it wouldn't work. And I think, well, I have to cross that one off the list. I crossed everything off the list until I got to the one bit of AA that I had rejected out of hand, and that was the notion of dependence on a higher power. And people were very kind. They tried to say, well, if you don't know what a higher power is, it can be a doorknob or the number 19 bus. I don't find doorknobs and number 19 buses any more helpful than people in a moment of crisis. If it was going to be a higher power, it had to be something real, and it had to be something that was going to make some sense to me. I wouldn't have to understand it, but it would have to be a power. And a doorknob is not a power, and a number 19 bus is not a power, and the ocean is not a power. And these things can't stop me from drinking. And the first time I reached out to a higher power, as I say, I've been in AA for some time. I was a couple of weeks off the most recent drink and terrified because the trouble I was getting into was increasingly grave and perilous. I was putting my life at risk with increasing frequency. I was getting to a point where coming back from a drink was getting harder and harder. I was getting more and more cynical in AA. I felt less and less connection with other people. I'd see other people come in, start to get well, think, well, what's different about you? What's different about me? Why is this working for everyone else and it's not working for me? In some ways, I was working harder at this than lots of other people around me who were just kind of sailing through and going to work and looking after their homes and starting to smile and share gratefully. I was not grateful. And I would write a gratitude list and feel the same afterwards, except now angrier, because I couldn't connect with the things that I'd just written and technically acknowledge to be good things in my life. If you can't feel them, you can't feel them, and a list isn't going to help. I can't pull myself up by my own bootstraps. I can't get myself better. I can't force any change in me whatsoever. And if you can, good luck to you. I envy you, but I can't. I was jiggered. I had all the information at my disposal, jiggered, drunk on a regular basis. And one evening, it came at me. Alcoholism came at me. And I won't tell the full story because I'd be here all day, but I asked a higher power for help. And blow me, I got it. And I stayed sober. And I woke up the next morning thinking, I need never drink. I now know I need never drink again. And that's the end of that. I'll be all right now. And I have been. And the higher power seems to work with that. And it seems to work with everything else. Someone asked me earlier today how my week was. And a friend of mine who's in the room who knows how my week was will laugh perhaps at me saying what I'm about to say. It was full of blessings. What are blessings? Opportunities to take actions I hadn't known I was going to have to take. Interesting situations to face. And when I'm having a week full of blessings, you can read between the lines there if you want. When I'm having a week which is full of blessings, I don't hold with the notion of having problems. As soon as I've got a problem, I feel like committing suicide. I can't handle problems. I've never been able to handle problems. Any problem, either I can do something about it, in which case it's a fact. It's not a problem, it's just a fact. Or I can do something about it, in which case it's a call to action. I've got an action plan, get on with the action. If I don't know what the action to take is, the action is to ask God for the action and then go and do something else useful while I'm waiting for an answer. So there's no such thing as a problem. There's a fact or an action. And there were some facts this week. There were some actions and there were some uncertainties. And I'm well trained in AA, so it's almost like a military thing now. When a situation arises which is not routine, I'm called upon to go to God and start applying all of the tools. Now, there is a higher power, and this is a personal view. I think there are lower powers too. I found myself assailed by lower powers this week, thoughts which tried to penetrate my mind and make me gloomy. And I've been taught a lot of AA actions, how to respond to those. Not vampires, I'm told by my vampire expert friends, of whom I have none. Vampires, for them to come in, you have to invite them. They can't just come in. You can just wave at them across the lintel. No invitation, they're not coming in, you're good. Don't even need garlic. Thoughts are the same. The thought can knock on the door. I've learnt how in AA to be the master of the house. I get to choose what thoughts to let in. But I have to work quite hard at that. I had to work this week with the programme. And what I found is what I always found, I have always found, which is I throw all the tools at the programme at the situation. And sometimes I realise at the end of that, I'm taking all the actions, but I don't have the power. And I've been talking to God and I've been praying and doing all the right things, but I've still been interested. I've been solving the problem. I've been addressing the situation. You can think you're doing it with God and actually you're doing it yourself. And as usual, I got to a point where I said, God, I got nothing here. I've been taking all the actions I'm supposed to take, and look at the state of me. You're going to have to take over from here because I am out of ideas, and the next day I was fine. Again and again and again, it has to be proved I am not in charge. I don't have the solution. God has the solution. I have to go to God with totally empty hands. And I'll finish on this. There's another line in the big book where it says we had to turn to the Father of light who presides over us all. Now, you might dislike the language. It's a little bit religious. If you don't like religious language, it will put you off. But the idea of light, I think, is really helpful. I spent most of my life trying to do something with darkness, thinking if I talk about the darkness, if I analyse the darkness, if I fumble around with other people who are experts in darkness, suddenly the light will come on, and it never did. Occasionally you think you can discern a few shapes, but that's the end of it. What I needed to do was turn the light on, get out of self, get into the world, get on with my life, holding my hand in God's hands, and that has been the solution to all my problems. Not just alcohol, but everything else. Thanks for listening.